It's not every day that you see a $200 million seed round. That's rather large. A quick reminder, you can call your funding rounds whatever you want. There's no official designation for that. But Binance US said today that it raised a $200 million seed round, its first round of outside funding that valued the firm at $4.5 billion. Now, let's be clear, this is the US arm of Binance, which is the largest crypto exchange by trading volume. Binance US, a little bit less of a titan, but still a big player in the US market. They are raising funds to ramp up a number of initiatives, and according to a spokesperson talking to CoinDesk's Brandy Betts, they're still working on going public in the next 2 to 3 years, depending on what works for them. So it's interesting to see this. Big number, big seed. Let's talk about it. Binance US really vying to be a big player here in the US market, and this is some big numbers. So I'm going to toss it straight to David for his initial thoughts on what Binance US means to the North American crypto scene.
Yeah, so I think I might be telling the story a little bit backwards here, but my first thought when I see this is to go back to information from a few years ago about Binance's overall strategy to essentially have operating bases in various countries. And laid out in documents that were uncovered by Forbes before Binance bought Forbes, that this was an intentional strategy to basically triangulate around regulators. And so when you see Binance US getting this funding in a capacity separate from Binance, the entity based we don't know where, it's important to keep that in mind, that this is part of a larger strategy. And I have a couple of props today. This is my first one. This is a book called A Full Service Bank, about something called the Bank of Credit and Commerce International, which was a banking scandal in the late 80s to early 90s that wound up, I think, basically being a $4 trillion Ponzi scheme that was enabled partly because regulators in different jurisdictions were not able to basically collaborate on regulating a single entity that had split itself up around the world. So not drawing any explicit connections there, but something to think about as a strategic move. And I also, I guess, on a sort of more superficial level, I would just say that Binance US, to my knowledge, still does not have the traction of something like a Coinbase. So they're still growing on their own right. Zach.
Yeah, for sure. I like looking at the exchange rankings just to get a proxy for who the big dogs are in the market. And Binance US is not Binance. Binance is the largest in the world, but Binance US is something like the 12th in the global rankings, below Gemini, below Crypto.com, below Gate.io, below Kraken. Some of these exchanges serve more jurisdictions, so they're not necessarily apples to oranges. But Binance US is far from the titan again that Binance, the mothership, is when it comes to people interacting with the crypto economy. So there's still room to grow. Some of this money was going to be earmarked for marketing, trying to get his name out there. I think we saw Binance for the first time sponsored the Grammys this past weekend. So they certainly seem to be more cognizant of getting their brand out into the wider public, as Crypto.com, FTX, and others have done in the last 12 months or so. So it's going to be interesting to see how much of this is just about onboarding new users and sort of presenting Binance US as a friendly, trusted brand that people coming to the crypto world can turn to. Again, historically, they've had their troubles in terms of being chased around the world by regulators. Typically, this has been the case for Binance, the mothership. But even Binance US, which notably had CEO Brian Brooks there for a few months before he quit, who was formerly of the OCC, he kind of left like unexpectedly, right? So there's always been sort of these lingering questions about Binance US, its relationship with Binance proper. And this first round of outside funding, I think, speaks to maybe some aspirations toward maturing the business and stepping into the limelight in a way that they hadn't previously. Jen, I just said a bunch of words. I'm sorry about that. I'm going to throw it down to you.
You said
to say something
all the words I wanted to say.
I know, it's too many words.
So, yeah, you just scooped me. I was going to say, Brian Brooks was there for only 3 months. And when he left the position, I thought, I don't know what's going to happen to Binance US next. And we didn't hear from them for a long time. Now they've raised this large round. It seems like they've been taking really progressive steps after that really shocking news. Since then, they've received regulatory approval in 2 states. They're available in 45 states and 8 territories. And now they're going to focus on marketing. And so what I was going to say about the marketing aspect of this is I'm kind of sick of seeing these celebrity endorsements. And I hope that they use this money and they do something original. They do something that really makes them stand out, because as much as I love FTX and I love seeing those ads and I love the big splashy sports partnerships. Maybe there's an opportunity here for them to differentiate themselves when it comes to marketing. And I didn't realize that they actually didn't spend any money on marketing up until now. I was reading this morning that they'd only spent money on App Store downloads, and they had a marketing team of one when this new CEO took over. So I look forward to seeing what they come up with. But Zach, I don't know, did I see your hand go up?
Yeah, I'm going to bounce it down
quick...
to Sonali. I just wanted to shout out that they had the marketing campaign where it was like they paid a celebrity to tell people not to listen to celebrities giving crypto advice. So I thought that was a funny, yes, a funny entrance into the world of crypto marketing. But David, all you got it.
Just one quick comment, because Brian Brooks came up, and I don't know if this has ever been confirmed, but there was discussion at the time that perhaps his departure, I mean, speculation and rumors that his departure was in part because of a disconnect between himself and CZ in terms of the vision of compliance, basically. And I think it's totally plausible that they have changed their minds about that in the meantime and decided to actually pursue the straight and narrow path. But for people investing in this, I think it is also important to keep in mind that there is this other entity that has influence over Binance US, and that does introduce certain risks. So that's the only comment that I had. I don't know who to throw it to.
Sonali, you got to get in here. You got to say
I'll
something.
do the last one.
Like, where is Catherine Coley? That's what Sonali's going to do. She's going to do where is Catherine Coley? I know it. Anyway, go.
Exactly. No, I just quickly wanted to say, going back to what David was saying, Binance US, like whether they like it or not, they are going to be to some level associated with the bigger Binance that's under all this regulatory scrutiny. But I read something interesting today that the CEO of Binance US, Brian Schroeder, told Fortune magazine, I think it was, that the kind of reputation of Binance, larger Binance, doesn't really seem to have an effect on investor interest in Binance US. He said that the company's shares are actually in an oversubscribed situation. I'm not sure what that means exactly, but so yeah, I mean, they are coming for the market. They have, as Jen said, big plans to market and kind of promote their lower transaction fees and become like a major competitor in the US market. So I'm looking forward to what they do. David, I know I see your hand.
Yeah, one last comment. Sorry, I have a lot to say about this, but the comments about the oversubscribed round is some really excellent, I don't know, whatever the positive version of FUD is, right? Because that's a basically meaningless claim. I mean, we have seen some slight interest rate rises, but we're still in a very loose money situation, and everything in crypto is oversubscribed, right? Like you can put out 1,000 PFPs and there will be a venture capital firm that like will offer you $10 million. So the fact that Binance US is able to raise this money means nothing about its reputation among investors, would be my last comment, I swear.
Shout out to the word oversubscribed being rarely, if ever, applicable in any story about venture capital. All you young crypto reporters out there, it's your tip of the day.